हाँ, यस साहिल, मुझे आपका वो मिला था। आई विल आस्क द इंस्टीट्यूट। नहीं, वो इफ दे विल नॉट फॉरवर्ड, मैं फॉरवर्ड कर दूंगा आपको पेपर। कल भी आपका टेस्ट होगा। जनरली फ्रांस, आपका फ्रांस, रशिया, जर्मनी वगैरह। इसमें रिमेंबर वन पॉइंट, इफ यू रिमेंबर प्रीवियस क्लास में वी डिड द मैकेंडर्स थ्योरी, हार्टलैंड थ्योरी। सो फ्रांस की अगर आप जहाँ तक बात करें, इवन दो इट्स अ मेंबर ऑफ द नेटो, बट इट हैज नॉट सपोर्टेड एवरी यूएस ड्रामा। And it has even called, after 1991, it has even called US hyper power. यूएस को हाइपर पावर बोलने में फ्रांस का सबसे बड़ा रोल था, और फ्रांस हैज बीन अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग क्रिटिक of American unilateral policies, strong critic always, to the extent that France supported India. जब इंडिया के अच्छे रिलेशन नहीं थे वेस्ट के साथ, इवन देन ईरान वाज इन सपोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया, पर्टिकुलरली ड्यूरिंग इंडियाज न्यूक्लियर वेपन प्रोग्राम। ईरान सपोर्टेड इंडिया, ईरान क्रिटिसाइज यूएस सैंक्शन। तो ईरान का हमेशा, सॉरी ईरान कह रहा हूँ मैं, फ्रांस, फ्रांस सपोर्टेड इंडिया एंड फ्रांस हैज बीन लाइक दिस। फ्रांस, जर्मनी, बाकी देखिए रशिया चाइना का तो आप समझ ही जाएंगे, बिकॉज दे डोंट लाइक यूएस वेरी मच। बट इवन इन वेस्टर्न ब्लॉक, फ्रांस हैज बीन अ कंट्री which has often been opposed to America's unilateral invasions. However, it has been highly supported by a country called UK. UK यूएस के largely सेम ही रहता है, ठीक है। बाकी डजेंट मैटर, यूएस हैज इट्स वे। क्लियर अनुपमा? ठीक है, फाइन। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन टू एनीवन? नहीं है, चलिए। सो वी वर डिस्कसिंग प्रीवियस क्लास में कोल्ड वॉर 2.0, वेयर वी डिड फोर थियरीज, पर्टिकुलरली द फंडामेंटल्स ऑफ यूएस फॉरेन पॉलिसी में वी अंडरस्टूड द आर्ग्यूमेंट ऑफ आपका जेम्स सुलिवन, मैनिफेस्ट डेस्टिनी, द गॉड्स एंड मिशन फॉर अमेरिका टू स्प्रेड लिबर्टी एंड डेमोक्रेसी इन द वर्ल्ड, मैकेंडल's हार्टलैंड थ्योरी आर्ग्यूइंग any country which controls the heartland controls the world, Spikeman's rimland theory arguing anyone who controls the rimland will control the world, because rim countries are near the trading zone, and whosoever control the trade controls the world basically. And then the last one was Alfred T. Mahan's ocean power theory. And China is trying to become that ocean power. इस समय अगर आप notice करें, तो not only China, every country in the world is big visioning or desiring to become an ocean power. And for that they are investing too much in their navies. नेवीज में इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ रही है। चाइना के केस में अगर आप देखें, चाइना इज कटिंग इन्वेस्टमेंट इन इट्स आर्मी एंड एयरफोर्स एंड इन्वेस्टिंग मच इन नेवी, because navy means everything when it will go to the far flung areas, to the seas. And we know, if you remember, the economic interdependence theory, the Richard Rosecrans, which argues that trading nations are more important than the continental warring nations. So if you control the trade, you control the world basically. That's how, because trade control ka matlab, you will control the money. And money, because we live in a neoliberal capitalist world, if you have the money, you have everything, as neoliberalism works. So China is trying to substitute, and we saw some argument with respect to China, that Mearsheimer's argument, and also Graham Allison. Graham Allison wrote a book in which he argued that China and US are destined for a war, basically. तो बहुत से लोग हैं which argue, ग्राम एलिसन हो चाहे आपका, ठीक है, चाहे आपका मीर शाइमर हो, largely they argue that the new Cold War, if there will be any, it will be between USA and China. Nobody considered, nobody considers Russia, that Russia can be any danger to anyone in the world. It cannot happen. जैसे आपका ली कुआन यूई, नोट्स में मेंशन है ये बात भी, ठीक है। ली कुआन यूई, ही वाज द डिक्टेटर ऑफ सिंगापुर, ही वंस रिमार्क्ड, ही वंस कोटेड नेपोलियन, ठीक है। नेपोलियन once upon a time may have said this, we don't know clearly, but may have. He said that China is like a mammoth who is sleeping, let it sleep. The day China will wake up, it will astonish the world. That was the argument they presented. Nonetheless, अगर आप चाइना के केस में देखें तो yes, we can say China in a very brief period has evolved too much. It has comprehensively developed. Economy की बात करें तो economy has been increasing at a rapid pace. अब slow हो गई है, but nonetheless economic growth of China was very high, particularly backed on manufacturing. That was most important. Manufacturing means more widespread development and it reaches to everyone. इंडिया के केस में ड्रामा है, बिकॉज इंडिया इकोनॉमी में यू विल डू सेक्टर्स ऑफ इकोनॉमी, प्राइमरी, सेकेंडरी एंड टर्शरी. Primary basically relates to raw material, secondary basically relates to processing of raw material of the primary, and tertiary basically relates to facilitation of the production in secondary, or manufacturing in secondary, or the production of primary, that is services. अब इंडिया के साथ प्रॉब्लम ये है कि इंडिया जम्प्ड फ्रॉम प्राइमरी टू टर्शरी. The maximum contribution to India's GDP comes from tertiary sector, tertiary services based sector, and not everyone can do that jobs. That job requires skills, particularly technical skills, and not everyone can afford them. And also, the jobs in services are very less. So that's the problem India has. That India is now the world's fifth largest economy, around $4 trillion, but India has the highest or the biggest problem of job scenarios. India has the highest unemployment since independence today. That is around 10%. And I'm excluding self-employed. Government do not consider self-employed as unemployed. अगर उन्हें भी unemployed मान लिया जाए तो in that scenario it can go to 40-50%. But nonetheless, even when we are including people who are self-employed, means who are doing small businesses, like you have a small kirana shop, you have a small medical shop, ठेला लगा रखा है आपने, you have a चाट शॉप, तो छोटी मोटी दुकानें भी गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉयमेंट में काउंट करती है. उसके बावजूद भी इंडिया हैज 10% अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट. इट्स वेरी हाई, इट्स highest since independence. If you, on the other hand, India has now become the world's fifth largest economy. The problem is India jumped from primary to tertiary. So India, mein, that's the problem. That India is growing, but the prosperity is not being distributed evenly throughout India. Because China backed on manufacturing. China jumped from primary to secondary first. Because of this manufacturing, the manufacturing jobs are vast. For example, to make a shoe, I require 10 labor. But to deliver this lecture, I require one teacher. That's the difference. So what I'm doing is tertiary. और यहाँ पे I require one teacher to deliver your lecture. But to make a single shoe, a single pair of shoe, I may require at least 10 labor. So manufacturing, आपका manufacturing, construction, they are very good employer. And if they work well, there is widespread development. That is what China had. The backed on manufacturing, China had a good development record. Plus, China has a large number of foreign exchange, which China is now using for under BRI to invest around the world. So yes, if there is any Cold War in future, so that war will happen, as Graham Sallis and Mearsheimer argue, it will be between US and China, in which US is the status quoist. Status quoist means a country that aims to maintain existing world order. China is a revisionist country, means that aims to change the world order. So we already know what is the economic terms में अगर हम बात करें तो what is the present international economic order? It's neoliberal. ठीक है, पॉलिटिकल टर्म्स में बात करें तो यूएसए इज द ओनली हेजेमन. However, China is trying to substitute that, and the neoliberal is based on Washington consensus. The neoliberalism is based on Washington consensus, the 10 principles of economic management that emerged in Washington, that laid the foundation. We have done this in globalization chapter. The IMF, World Bank, WTO, they all are nothing but the brainchild of America propagating American values. So China is trying to counter them. China is trying to counter Washington consensus by Beijing consensus. But there is a fundamental problem. The problem is China does not have the soft power of USA. ये सबसे बड़ा difference है. That even though China may have hard power, which maybe by 20 years can compete with the USA. Hard power means military power and economic power. Economy में already China is the second largest economy, and there are chances that it will bypass America very soon. Having said that, economically bigger than America, military may be equal to America. अभी तो नहीं है, but maybe 20-30 years down the line it can. But still, what China does not enjoy is the soft power. And because of this, the chances that China will acquire the leadership of the world is highly disputed. अगर होगा तो थ्रू अ वॉर ओनली. वॉर में क्या होता है? वॉर में यू कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली डिफीट द पार्टी. दे मस्ट बी अ वॉर बिटवीन टू कंट्री, मे बी कोल्ड और मे बी हॉट, वो एक अलग डिबेट है. It may be a cold war or maybe a hot war, that's a different thing, but nonetheless a war must have to happen. Otherwise, a new hegemon cannot remove the existing hegemon without making sure the existing hegemon cease to exist. तो अब ये कब होगा, कैसे होगा, इट्स नॉट वेरी क्लियर. एवरीवन इज हैविंग डिफरेंट आर्ग्यूमेंट. आई होप ना हो तो बढ़िया ही है. वी कैन नॉट अफोर्ड अनदर कोल्ड वॉर और अनदर थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर. एनीवे, देखते हैं क्या होता है. सो दीज आर द डिबेट डिस्कशन गोइंग ऑन. वी डू नॉट नो वेरी क्लियर ओवर दैट. ठीक है. सो दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव. तो नाउ लेट अस सी डिबेट सराउंडिंग प्रेजेंट वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर. ठीक है. नाउ टू टॉपिक्स आर रिमेनिंग: डिबेट सराउंडिंग प्रेजेंट वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर एंड लास्टली द नेम. चलिए समझ लेते हैं. फर्स्ट, so what are the problems in the present world order? There are certain problems that we will do together. I think इसमें soft dictators के बारे में नहीं है. I think it's not present here. I will dictate that. Soft dictators का इसमें लग नहीं रहा मुझे, नोट्स में है. कोई बात नहीं, बाकी जो है वो देख लेते हैं. So what are the problems with the present world order? Let's discuss all of them. Problems. First, there was a scholar by the name of Sergei Guriev. Sergey Guriv, he wrote an article in 2003 in New York Times in which he said that a new brand of dictators will rise. So he's predicting 2013 में there were not many soft dictators in power except you can say to some extent Duterte in Philippines. बाकी कुछ खास थे नहीं. But he was predicting this phenomena. That's why I told you dictators around the world, they do not fear anyone. Don't fear armies, they don't fear anything. Army तो वैसे भी कोई नहीं डरता आर्मी से. They only fear two people: students and intellectuals. These are the two people that the dictators always fear. Why? Because students are idealistic. They say, I believe you all are students, so you have a vision. Okay, you are idealistic. You think that I will do this, I will do that, I will do that. Who knows how much we can do this? But students, होते हैं, they have a vision of the world order, and they are very much optimistic, hot-blooded, and they want to bring a change. But when they get into services, get married and all these things, then social compulsions comes into play. So for example, when you're in colleges, you go to your friend on a call. एक कॉल आया, तुरंत भाग के चले गए. You're having parties and you go to your friend to save. मतलब तो उसकी लड़ाई होगी तो आप चले गए बचाने. That can happen. Protest के लिए बुलाया, तुरंत भाग के पहुंच गए. All these things you can do when you are in colleges, but when you come to the real life, you go into job, it becomes hard. Because imagine you are an IS officer and the home minister calls you for an immediate meeting. Even if you have your own daughter's wedding, you have to leave it. अपनी ही डॉटर की वेडिंग में नहीं जा पाओगे बिकॉज द होम मिनिस्टर हैज कॉल्ड यू. कंपल्शन. अगर यही स्कूल होता, कॉलेज होता, यू आर लाइक कौन जा रहा है भाई, If the teacher principal calls you, there is an urgent class you have to take or something urgent, some urgent project, आप कहेंगे नहीं मैं नहीं आ रहा निकल रहा हूँ मैं. That how the difference works. So students are often idealistic. They are always available for a revolution, for a protest. And that's why if you see the real energy of any revolution in the world, you can pick any, it's always been the youth. They are the energy that sustain a revolution. They are the energy that creates a revolution. Be it Taliban. Taliban kya tha? It was a student movement in Iran. Sorry, student movement of Afghanistan. Taliban. It comes from the word Talib, means students. ठीक है. Similarly, इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम पे इंदिरा गांधी's throne was burned by whom? The students, particularly from Gujarat. गुजरात में there was an engineering college and during emergency, emergency उस वक्त लगी नहीं थी. ठीक है. There was a lot of inflation and everything. The Gujarat में there were students and there was a rise in mess bill. The engineering students started protesting and they basically unleashed a fire. That fire was captured by JP Narayan and ultimately the Indira Gandhi's throne was burned. So it started with student movement. So largely, you can pick world movement. Largely, the student are the you can say the students are the soul muscles of that movement because they are idealistic people. They are very much idealistic and readily available for a revolution. And second is intellectuals. Intellectuals are the people. They are like doctors of the society because of their vast understanding of history, polity, economy, geography, जो भी है, they understand the world very well. And because of that, the way a doctor behaves, doctor पे क्या होता है, you go with your body symptom, the doctor analyzes the symptom and predicts this could be the disease, this could be the disease, this could be the disease. Then there are some tests and whatever is not, and then the doctor says, okay, fine. After the test and after my vast knowledge of medicine and my experience, I conclude you have this disease, let's have the operation or let's have the medicines. So same way the intellectuals work because there's a vast knowledge. They see what is happening in the society and based on that they predict that based on these things happening in the society is likely to witness this. So one of the very good example is Sergey Guriv. Sergey Guriv in 2013 predicted that a new brand of dictators are likely to rise. He called them dictators or ruler by velvet fist. Generally, what is the perception of dictators? The perception is that they rule by iron fist. Means, if I am a dictator, then I will not tolerate any criticism. I will execute anyone I like. Hitler is a prime example of dictator by iron fist. And this is a prime feature of dictators, that they are often intolerant to criticism. ये चीज आप notice करना, any government, कोई भी हो, doesn't matter. Analyze this. If that government is anti-protest, that government is dictatorship, simply stating. Because tolerance to protest and peaceful transfer of power is the hallmark of a democracy. If there is any government which is not tolerating protest, it doesn't matter who do them, except violent one. Of course, if you have violent protest, the state has to respond. Removing the violent one, if you have any kind of protest and if the state is not acknowledging that, suppressing that, putting cases on you, UAPA, NSA, whatever, then that government is dictatorish. It doesn't matter which government is that. चाहे कांग्रेस हो, बीजेपी हो, आम आदमी हो या फिर किसी और देश में रिपब्लिकन हो, डेमोक्रेट्स हो, doesn't matter. So he said that a new brand of dictators are rising known as ruler by velvet fist. Now, today we have a name. During his time, we don't have a name for these people because he was predicting their rise. Now we have a name for these people known as illiberal democrat or liberal autocrats. So these are the people, they are illiberal democrats or liberal autocrats. And a word that I have coined, which is easy to remember, soft dictators. I call them always soft dictators. ऐसा कोई टर्म किसी ने कॉइन नहीं किया है because I found it very easy to explain. Soft dictators. Why soft? Because they are dictator in proper sense, but they do not appear like a dictator. पूरे dictator है like a Hitler dictator, but they do not appear like a dictator. That's why I call them soft dictators. So पहला चीज, what are the features according to Sergey Guriv? What are the features of these soft dictators? How you can identify whether your prime minister, your president, or your chancellor, as in the case of Germany, is a dictator or not? कैसे पता लगेगा? So he gave some features. Number one, they fight elections like a war. सबसे बड़ा feature. According to him, these dictators rise in democracies. First thing. Second thing, these dictators fight elections like a war. Why war? Because they do, for them, elections are not a tool to come into power. For them, elections are like a war that must be won. Why? To show that they are popular. They say on a, halaki, I'm not saying this, but when Modi ji visited America during Biden's administration term, there was a lot of article written in various newspaper of America because their media is largely free, not unbiased. Everyone is biased, and so the media of America. It is biased in favor of liberal political values. So it is not free. Sorry, it is not unbiased, but yet it is largely free. Nobody touches American media at all. American government is weak in front of American media, and I may have given you the example of that. Maybe I don't know. When Donald Trump was on his visit in India, there was a CNN journalist. It's a channel in America. He asked a question from him. He was in, I think, Prime Minister House or President House in India. He asked a question from his own president. The Donald Trump was the president. He replied to him that you are a fake news. I will not answer you. But then that person, that journalist, replied to his own president in a foreign country that my record of speaking truth is better than yours. How he gathered so much of courage कि वो अपने ही प्रेसिडेंट को किसी और देश में ये बोलता है दैट यू आर अ लायर. इट्स वेरी बिग थिंग, क्योंकि इंडिया में इमेजिन करिए एनी इंडियन जर्नलिस्ट सेइंग दिस टू प्राइम मिनिस्टर, वापस नहीं आएगा वो कभी. ठीक है. सो ही सेड दिस व्हाई, बिकॉज ही इज नॉट फियरफुल. अमेरिका में देयर वाज फर्स्ट अमेंडमेंट टू अमेरिकन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन व्हिच क्लियरली रोट फ्रीडम ऑफ प्रेस. And American press is so fiercely independent. They write anything, they talk about anything, and American government is unable to even touch them. दैट्स द लेवल ऑफ, और उनमें यूनिटी भी है, ये सबसे बड़ी बात है. इवन दो एवरी चैनल जैसे इंडिया में है वैसे अमेरिका में है. अमेरिकन चैनल्स, द मीडिया हाउसेस, न्यूज़पेपर, दे आर ओन्ड बाय कैपिटलिस्ट द वे इंडिया में दे आर ओन्ड बाय कैपिटलिस्ट, एंड दे compete with each other. They literally compete with each other for revenue, जैसे हमारे देश में compete करते हैं. But in spite of all the features that we have in India, they have a sense of unity. जैसे मान लेते हैं, if Washington Post writes something, because different articles है, जैसे आपका Wall Street Journal is often considered as a right winger newslet, and Washington Post is considered as a left winger. ये जानने माना जाता है. So even if government of America take action against Washington Post, जो कि लेफ्ट विंग है, तब भी द वॉल स्ट्रीट जर्नल विल क्रिटिसाइज इट. तो उनमें एक सेंस ऑफ यूनिटी है कि वी मे डिसएग्री विद ईच अदर्स ओपिनियन, वी मे डिसएग्री, वी मे ट्राई टू इन्फ्लुएंस अवर ऑडियंस, वी मे ट्राई टू कंट्रोल देम मेंटली, बट येट there is a unity. If government of America take action against any one of us, we all will respond. Same thing happened in Australia. ऑस्ट्रेलिया में द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलिया, जैसे हमारे देश में होता है यूजली, government of Australia used its power to basically censor one newspaper. Every newspaper came together and they published first page blank. The first page of newspaper they published blank with redaction. Redaction होता है ना, when you write something and you put a whitener to reduce that. Redaction होता है black mark. और उसमें बड़े बड़े अक्षरों में लिखा होता है, the government of Australia does not want us to tell you this. So this is the kind of assertion of freedom. You don't see that in India. Indian media is largely subservient to the government, largely. So they don't talk about it. So that's the second feature. The second feature of a soft dictator is that they buy media. And understand this, he is predicting this in 2013. जब दुतर्ते को छोड़ के in Philippines there was no soft dictator in power. He's predicting that they will rise and they will have all these features. Now you analyze your prime minister, president, chancellor and see whether they have this. Second, they buy media. Why they buy media? Remember Gramsci theory, Gramscian idea of hegemony. The social media, the civil, उस समय social media नहीं था, but today social media, the broadcast media, the print media, the civil society, they create hegemony of an idea. So if I am a leader, I am a soft dictator, I buy media, so that media will propagate lie for me. A concept we call opaque state. पेपर वन में शायद आपने किया होगा, opaque state. This was a concept emphasized by Gramsci. Gramsci said there are two kinds of state, transparent and opaque. Opaque state are those in which the people are unable to see the true nature of the state. So even though the state is exploiting the people, but people cannot see the true nature of the state, and so they are unable to counteract in the form of revolution, revolt, change of the government. So opaque state. An opaque state कौन बनाता है? Media. So second feature is they buy media, and whichever media they cannot buy, they waste their time. कैसे waste करेंगे? Through court cases, through police, through other agencies. And that is why they are soft. That is why they are soft dictators. Because they are dictators, they control media, they pay media to control the narratives of the people, but they will not kill anyone. ये सबसे बड़ी बात है इनमें. Unlike the dictators who kill the opposition, who kill critics, these are soft dictators. They never kill opposition, they never kill critics. Why? Because if I kill anyone who criticizes me, that person becomes martyr, shaheed, and I become bad. If I kill you, you are criticizing me. So we live in very interconnected world. So उस व्यक्ति को स्टेटस मिलेगा शहीद का और मुझे मिलेगा तानाशाह का. Something I cannot have and I won't have. दोनों फीचर समझ में आया सबको? Janice, you are writing something, some question or something. Yes. अच्छा है चैट रिकॉर्ड नहीं होता है तो यस द नेम यू हैव गिवन. और भी बहुत नाम है. देखिए बेसिकली राइट नाउ इफ यू सी देयर इज अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री बाय अल जजीरा. इवन अंडरस्टैंड अल जजीरा कोई न्यूट्रल चैनल नहीं है, ठीक है, बट नॉनदलेस इट्स अ थर्ड पार्टी. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल आई एम बायस्ड इन पर्टिकुलर वैल्यू सेटअप, पर आप दो व्यक्ति हैं, आप में लड़ाई हो रही है. से फॉर एग्जांपल जेनिस एंड साहिल आर फाइटिंग ओवर समथिंग. I am a third neutral person. I am also biased in favor of my values. Everyone in this earth on this earth is biased in favor of their values. But nonetheless, because I'm a third party not involved in your fight, so I will give a report neutral to your fight. क्योंकि मेरा कोई लेना देना है नहीं आप दोनों की फाइट से. सेम केस में अल जजीरा, which is again I am repeating not a neutral channel. ठीक है, it propagates ideas, values, concept in favor of Qatar. It's Qatar's channel. Nonetheless, they publish a documentary on India's media. You can watch that. I think YouTube पे है वो documentary. अगर हटाई ना हो सरकार ने, so you can watch that media documentary. In that documentary, they clearly showed who controls India's media. Two families, and you know the name of those families. One family in particular controlled 90% of India's media. The other family controls around 8 to 9%. तो मुश्किल से पूरे मीडिया लैंडस्केप में अगर आप इंग्लिश के न्यूज़पेपर छोड़ दें, particularly the Hindu and the Indian Express, and if you leave very few channels, broadcast media mein, every other media is now under the control of two families, and those two families favor somebody. तो जिस व्यक्ति का आपने नाम लिया है, he is a part of this buy out media. बहुत है, सारे चैनल मोरलेस ऐसे ही है. So this is the feature. These are two prime features by which you can identify whether you are living under a soft dictatorship or not. तीसरा feature, opposition. अभी मैंने आपको बताया द फीचर ऑफ डिक्टेटर इज दे किल अपोजिशन. The feature of dictators is they kill opposition. पर soft dictators never kill a position. They keep a position. क्यों? भाई देखिए सीधी सी बात है. If I want to convince you that I am the best, so I must have a person in front of me who is bad. मैं तभी आपको convince कर पाऊंगा that you have two choices, either to choose me as your leader or that other person. And if I am able to use my media, the media that I have bought, or the media which I cannot bought, I will waste their time in court cases and whatever happen. In all these cases, I will waste their time. And then I will make you convinced that that person is disaster. Let's take a real life example. Rahul Gandhi. Understand this, if Rahul Gandhi leave politics, then BJP will cry more than Congress. This is the Saurabh Bharadwaj. He is the MLA of Aam Aadmi Party. He was given an interview to NDTV, which is now owned by Mr. Adani. So he was giving an interview. In that, he said a very particular thing which I liked very much, and he was very right. He said that Rahul Gandhi is the chosen opposition of BJP. Chosen opposition. Why? It doesn't matter who is the president. Right now, the president of Congress is Mallikarjun Kharge, not Rahul Gandhi. But it doesn't matter. He said that there are so many parties in India. There is TMC, Mamta Banerjee is there. There is Aam Aadmi Party, Kejriwal is there. There are a lot of parties in the south. They are there. But yet, when it comes to opposition, the entire media will talk about Rahul Gandhi. BJP will always talk about Rahul Gandhi. Why? Because they know that Rahul Gandhi may be a good person, but he's not a shrewd politician. Okay, politician और good person दोनों अलग अलग व्यक्ति होते हैं. A politician is neither good nor bad. They are smart people who know when to cry over something and when to not. अब गुड पर्सन की बात अलग होती है. यू आर अ गुड एट हार्ट, इट डज नॉट मीन यू विल बी अ गुड पॉलिटिशियन. पॉलिटिशियन शुड बी, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर दिस, नार्सिसिस्टिक सोशियोपैथ. It's a compulsion. Agar you want to be a very successful politician, you must be a sociopath. A sociopath means a person who is able to channelize emotion as per requirement. आप एक चीज नोटिस करना, if something happens to your state, मान लेते हैं your party is in power in some state, अगर वहां पे किसी के साथ कुछ बुरा होता है तो you don't cry. जैसे for example मणिपुर में abhorrible things happened to a lot of women. We have all seen that video of those women paraded naked, touched, their private parts were touched, they were mass raped. Usme you will not see Smriti Irani crying. But when the same bad thing has happened now in West Bengal, that now Khali or whatever is there, वहां पे the same woman chief, the woman minister is going and crying out loud. I'm not saying what they are saying is wrong, of course, but why two responses? Manipur में different response and West Bengal में different response. The reason being West Bengal में आपकी सरकार नहीं है. So this is a trait of a good politician who knows when to cry and when to not. They are good sociopath. अब problem यहाँ पे ये है, that's the third point, chosen opposition. Rahul Gandhi ko BJP has conclusively proved among Indians that Rahul Gandhi is a pappu or an idiot. They have made it. Ab understand one thing about politics. Politics में reality never matters. Sorry, politics में truth never matters. Politics में perception matters. It doesn't matter what is what. If you can create the perception counter to that, you are golden. They say there was a lot of efforts put in by the BJP to prove Rahul Gandhi is a pappu, and largely, if you ask anyone who hates BJP, for example, you ask them ना कि why don't you vote other party if you are so much concerned, तो वो कहता है किसे वोट करें. So this is called Tina factor. There is no alternative, and that is what Sergei Guriev said. According to Sergei Guriev, the opposition, the soft dictators, they always maintain an opposition. They choose an opposition and they keep it, but not a strong one. They will keep a weak opposition in front of them to prove, to conclusively convince the people of that country that they are the best choice. That's always, they always make you believe in that. So these are the some of the features of soft dictator as predicted by Sergei Guriev. ठीक है, तो then they never kill anyone, because if I kill you, you criticize me, you will become a martyr. They keep an opposition, but a weakened one, so as to convince the target population that they are the only solution. They fight elections like a war that must be won by all causes, and they project elections as a confirmation of their policies. I brought a policy, it is hurting the people. But if I win election, तो इसका मतलब जो भी मैंने पॉलिसी लाई चाहे वो कितनी भी बुरी थी सही थी. Example, Modi government carried out demonetization, utter stupid idea. When you will do economy GS3, आप समझेंगे India's economic decline started with demonetization. वो तो Corona and Ukraine war, they came later. If you look at India's economic decline, it started with India GDP decline. It started with आपका what do you call demonetization. It was utterly bad idea. There is not even a single justification of demonetization by anyone. Okay, that's why the government never talks about this. Having said that, within I think 1 or 2 years, there was UP election. So BJP won the UP election, and ultimately, what they said, "Dekha, demonetization was right. If people were being hurt by demonetization, they would not have voted us in power." इसका क्या relation है? Demonetization is an economic phenomena impacting at economic level. Winning UP election is different. It was won on different reasons for different grounds. So you cannot compare. But nonetheless, it was projected that as if people have given approval on demonetization. Jabki people did not give approval on demonetization, they gave approval on something else. So this is the problem we are having. Anyway, that's how the soft dictatorship works. And when Modi ji visited the US during Biden administration, there were a lot of newspaper who branded him. मैं brand नहीं कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? Who branded him as illiberal democrat and liberal autocrats. तो मैं दो चीजें समझी, what is soft dictators and what are the features. अब TCC समझते हैं, why they are rising. ये तो हमने समझ लिया कि वो क्या है और क्यों है, ठीक है? बट वो राइज क्यों कर रहे हैं पावर में, वाई दे हैव कम इनटू बीइंग और वाई नाउ, उसके लिए हमें अलग थ्योरीज पे जाना पड़ेगा. वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड डिफरेंट थ्योरीज फॉर दैट. पहला हम समझते हैं याश्चा मॉन्क. ये नोट्स में है, इट इज अवेलेबल इन द नोट्स, यू रीड इट आउट. प्रीवियस वन सरगेई गुरीव, पता नहीं कैसे नहीं है, बिकॉज मुझे तो याद है मैंने डाली थी नोट्स में. कोई बात नहीं, दिख नहीं रही है मुझे, आई विल डिक्टेट दैट पार्ट. याश्चा मॉन्क, याश्चा मॉन्क wrote a book, and he talked about something we call undemocratic liberalism. This will explain why soft dictators are rising. So Sergei Guri's analysis explain what is soft dictators. He didn't never use that word. I am using that word. They were using the word dictators by velvet fist. Later on, it became the word illiberal democrat, liberal autocrats. The soft dictator word is I am using. So we know what is soft dictators and what are their features. Third thing is how they rise in power. The reason Yascha Mong gave us undemocratic liberalism. अब ये undemocratic liberalism क्या होता है? Let's understand. You have an institution called World Trade Organization. We discussed this if you remember. World Trade Organization में Government of India has signed an agreement known as Agreement on Agriculture, under which government cannot provide MSP. अभी जो फार्म प्रोटेस्ट चल रहा है, अगर आपने थोड़ा भी देखा होगा, तो दे हैव 12 कोर डिमांड्स. 12 कोर डिमांड्स में दो डिमांड ऐसी हैं which will make you understand this. पहला, they are saying that government shall make a law to guarantee MSP. दूसरा, they are saying government shall withdraw from WTO. दो चीजें कह रहे हैं वो. पहला तो ये कि MSP का कानून बनाओ, और दूसरा गवर्नमेंट WTO से बाहर आ जाए. अब ये बात वो कह क्यों रहे हैं? Even this thing is being said by Yashchamong, and is a liberal scholar. Understand this. So WTO में Government of India has signed an agreement called Agreement on Agriculture, which divides subsidies into box, amber box, green box, आपका blue box. Amber box contains subsidies which directly impact agricultural production. Amber box में any subsidy which directly interferes with production is covered there. जैसे एग्जाम्पल फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सब्सिडी, सीड सब्सिडी, एंड दीज आर द सब्सिडी इंडिया गिव्स. एमएसपी also, because MSP directly interferes with production. They are not allowed above a limit. अगर under agreement of agriculture, they are not allowed beyond 10% of total production. ये सब हमने करा है ग्लोबलाइजेशन के चैप्टर में. आई एम रिवाइजिंग यू. So, if government of India makes a law on MSP, if a government of India will violate agreement on agriculture, and then anyone can drag India into WTO dispute settlement, and then they may give a judgment against India, and Indian government will have to bear the consequences. That's why what the farmer is saying, that पहला to bring a law on MSP, but we know, we मतलब farmer, we know that yes, if you bring law on MSP, then you will violate 10% of agreement on agriculture. That's why we are saying withdraw from WTO. WTO से बाहर आ जाओ. Because WTO क्या कर रहा है? WTO is imposing neoliberal values of America on you. Come out of it. Nothing will happen. I can guarantee government ना MSP का कानून बनाएगी और ना WTO से बाहर आएगी. Because this government is purely neoliberal. So they like the neoliberalism. They will never come out of it. Nonetheless, मैंने आपको वहां पे भी बताया था चैप्टर में, ये अग्रीमेंट मैंने एग्जांपल लिया है, बट इट डज नॉट अप्लाई. व्हाई? बिकॉज इन अप्रैल 2015 USA gave a guarantee. USA gave a guarantee to India that until unless we resolve this issue of 10% in ember box, even if India violates, even if India violates the agreement on agriculture, nobody will take India to the WTO dispute settlement. पर एक गारंटी कंडीशनल गारंटी है. This guarantee is applicable only in case of food security. That if India for food security purposes violates agreement on agriculture, then even then nobody will take to WTO dispute settlement. अब this is a gray area. MSP फूड सिक्योरिटी के कंपोनेंट में काउंट होगी या नहीं, उस पर क्लियरिटी नहीं है. वो तो डिपेंड करेगा व्हेन गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया विल मेक अ लॉ, तो देखते क्या होता है. अब दिस इज अनडेमोक्रेटिक लिबरलिज्म. लिबरलिज्म क्या कहता है? लिबरलिज्म हमने प्रीवियस समझा हुआ है. लिबरलिज्म स्कोर इज लिबर्टी एंड लिबरल्स प्रमोट डेमोक्रेसी, because democracy is the one way to ensure liberty of the people. Democracy के अलावा there is no setup which ensures the liberty of people. So what is happening? Liberalism has created these kind of institutions: IMF, World Bank, United Nations, WTO. These are neoliberal institutions. UN को हटा दे तो these are neoliberal institutions. So countries, होता क्या है democracy में? Your leaders come to you. Democracy, what happens is your leaders come to you, they promise you various things. Based on that, you choose your leader into power. And when they are in power, they must do what they promise to you. Otherwise, after 5 years, you will remove them from power. That's how democracy functions. But according to Yasha Monk, these liberal, neoliberal institutions are forcing the governments around the world to sign agreements that curtails curtails or limits the ability of the national government to make policies according to the demand of their voters. And that's why he's saying that the current world order, we are sacrificing democracy for liberalism. That's why the current world order is undemocratic liberalism. समझ में आया? Shall I repeat? ठीक है, अनुपमा को आ गया. बाकी लोग हरिके, जेनिस एंड हरिका, सॉरी, हरिका, जेनिस एंड साहिल नहीं आया तो कोई इशू नहीं, हम दोबारा कर सकते हैं. टेक एज मच टाइम एज यू वांट. एक बार और, चलो एक बार और कर लेते, कोई बात नहीं है. What will be the repercussion if India withdraws from WTO? रिपरकशन होगा, बिकॉज देखिए WTO में, बिकॉज वी आर मेंबर, तो वी हैव साइन न्यूमरस एग्रीमेंट. केवल AOA नहीं है, और भी एग्रीमेंट हमने साइन करे हुए हैं. They will help us, but understand, Janice, this is a problem going on around the world. If you remember, we did a globalization chapter, वहां भी मैंने आपको बताया था. Even USA, a country which made WTO, Donald Trump called WTO a disaster for America and wanted to withdraw out of WTO. And why it is, मैंने आपको बताया था, if you remember 1960s 70s में they imposed free trade agreement on us. But now when we are powerful, they are victim. तो वो चिल्ला रहे हैं कि fair trade, not only free, fair trade. इंडिया के लिए रिpercussion अच्छे भी हो सकते हैं, बुरे भी हो सकते हैं. We are not very clear. वो तो जब निकलेंगे तब पता लगेगा. अच्छे सेंस में हो सकते हैं that we will not be under subjugation of new liberal policies. We can focus on our people. अगर हमारे फार्मर एमएसपी डिमांड कर रहे हैं, हम उन्हें दे सकते हैं. हमारे चिल्ड्रन हंगर के कारण फूड डिमांड कर रहे हैं, हम उन्हें दे सकते हैं. So government of India can make policy according to the requirement of its people, not the agreement at world level. Negative consequences, we may lose access because WTO के जो member हैं, they have a code trees. तो हो सकता है they and in repercussion they can retaliate. तो उसका क्लियरिटी नहीं है अभी जेनिस. इसके फायदे भी हो सकते हैं, नुकसान भी हो सकते हैं और मिक्स भी मिल सकता है. वो तो टाइम बताएगा. क्लियर? ये किसने बताया आपको? मीडिया ने? ऐसा नहीं है. देखिए, पावरफुल इज अ वेरी सब्जेक्टिव टर्म. व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय पावरफुल, दैट डिपेंड्स. बट ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि वी हैव एन अपर हैंड. बस ये हो सकता है कुछ इशू में वी मे हैव एन अपर हैंड, कुछ इशू में दे मे हैव एन अपर हैंड. बट ऐसा कंक्लूसिव नहीं है कि हमारा हर बार अपर हैंड हो. मीडिया की बात मत सुना करो यार. ठीक है. इंडियन मीडिया ने सच बोलना बहुत पहले छोड़ दिया था. ठीक है. अब मैं दोबारा एक बार रिपीट कर देता हूँ सो दैट यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड. आई होप प्रीवियस तो समझ में आ गया होगा. साहिल, सरगई गुरीब तो समझ में आ गया ना? ठीक है. तो सर्गेई गुरु ने दो चीजें बताई, व्हाट आर सॉफ्ट डिक्टेटर्स एंड व्हाट आर देयर फीचर्स. अब दे आर व्हाई व्हाई दे आर राइजिंग इन पावर इज एक्सप्लेन बाय वेरियस थियरीज. एक थ्योरी उसमें से यास्चा मोंग की. यास्चा मोंग टॉक्ड अबाउट अनडेमोक्रेटिक लिबरलिज्म. इट्स आयरॉनिकल because liberalism and democracy are so intertwined कि whenever I say democracy, automatically you assume liberal democracy. Liberalism, हालांकि democracy is different and liberalism is different, but they are so intertwined together, historically speaking, that whenever we say democracy, automatically your mind assume I am talking about a liberal democracy automatically. So liberal democracy propagates what? Liberty. जैसे हमारे देश में fundamental rights you people enjoy. तो democracy में what is the fundamental rule? You have your leaders. They come to you during election process and they promises you. The BJP will promise something, Aam Aadmi will promise something, Kejriwal will, oh, sorry, Rahul Gandhi will promise something. You will choose one of them. You will choose whether Kejriwal you want to see as the Prime Minister, Rahul Gandhi, Modi, or anyone else, based on their promises. Then you choose one of them in power. After coming to power, they must fulfill the promises they made to you. If they will make fulfill the promise, you will re-elect them. If they will not, then you will not elect them. That's how it works. That's democracy. However, according to Yascha Monk, we are living in a world where national democratic governments are signing agreement at the world level, like IMF, World Bank, United Nations, other conventions. Those agreement which they have signed at the world level is curtailing or limiting their ability to make policies according to the desire of their voters. And because of this, the voters are getting angry. They are like, "Kiya, I voted you in power." For example, I voted Kejriwal in power and he promised me 200 units of free electricity. अब आई हैव चोजन यू इन पावर, तो मुझे मतलब नहीं है कि आप कैसे करोगे. आई डोंट केयर हाउ यू विल डू दिस. यू मस्ट डू दिस क्योंकि आपने मुझे प्रॉमिस किया था. दैट्स हाउ डेमोक्रेसी वर्क्स. पर आप मेरे से बहाना मार रहे हो. बहाना क्या मार रहे हो? दैट आई हैव साइंड एन अग्रीमेंट इन WTO, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आई कैन नॉट गिव यू 200 यूनिट्स ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. मुझे इससे क्या मतलब है? आई एम अ वोटर. आई चोज यू इन पावर टू डू समथिंग फॉर मी. यू कैनॉट डू दिस. मुझे इससे कोई मतलब नहीं कि आपने WTO में एग्रीमेंट साइन किया है, आपने वर्ल्ड बैंक में एग्रीमेंट साइन किया हुआ है. मुझे इससे कोई मतलब नहीं है. मेरा तो सिंपल सा है, मैंने आपको वोट दिया, मुझे चाहिए तो चाहिए। व्हाई यू प्रॉमिस्ड मी देन? अब दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम दैट इज हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड. The liberal institutions of the world, IMF, World Bank, and all these, they are making the countries to agree on agreements, world agreements, which do not match with the desires of the people of the country, and that's why they are feeling frustrated. Example, India's Kisan movement. The Kisans of India want MSP. देखिए MSP यूजफुल है, नॉन यूजफुल है, फायदा है, नुकसान है, वो अलग डिबेट है. वी आर टॉकिंग पॉलिटिकल एंगल. So Kisan of India are demanding MSP. And how democracy respond? If Kisan are demanding MSP, government must provide MSP. That is what democracy means. You demand, we fulfill. But because government of India has signed an agreement in WTO, an institution above the nation, that curtails the ability of government of India to make a law on MSP. So I am unable to fulfill the requirement of democracy because I have signed an agreement in a neoliberal institution at the world level, and that is leading to frustration of common men. That's why undemocratic liberalism, a liberalism in the world level that is sacrificing democracy. Now is it clear? चलिए फाइन है. ठीक है, तो दिस इज वन थिंग हैपेंड. अब वी विल सी टू अदर इवेंट्स दैट विल कॉम्प्रिहेंसिवली एक्सप्लेन. तो एक तो ये हो गया थ्योरी. दूसरी थ्योरी आपको पहले से पता है, जिसका नाम है सैमुअल पी हंटिंगटन. यू नो दिस सैमुअल पी हंटिंगटन्स, आपका क्लैश ऑफ सिविलाइजेशन थीसिस. प्रीवियस थ्योरी में अगर हम जाए, याशा मॉन्क्स अनडेमोक्रेटिक लिबरलिज्म. तो आई टोल्ड यू, जैसे यू आर इन सीवियर पेन, मैंने आपको जैसे बताया था, गॉड फॉरबिड, से फॉर एग्जांपल यू कुड नॉट क्लियर यूपीएससी. Your result came yesterday and you could not clear. You are hurt very much. You worked very hard for an entire year. You could not clear. तो उस समय में somebody comes to you. You don't want somebody to lecture you कि you may have missed this, missed that. नहीं. At that point of time, you want a person who will give you a comforting lie. You don't want to hear the harsh truth. At that point of time, you have innate desires. That's a fundamental weakness. और हर किसी में है, ऐसा नहीं है कोई भी weakness से. तो you want a person जो आपको झूठी सही पर कंफर्ट दे. वो व्यक्ति नहीं चाहिए जो सच बोले और डिस्टर्ब करे. In that scenario, soft dictators becomes that part. You are hurt because you think your government is not listening to you. You're asking your government, give me MSP. Your government is unable to give. So what you will do in that scenario, you will support anyone who may lie with you but give a comforting feeling. So that's how soft dictators. Remember the biggest feature of dictators, जो हर हमेशा होता है, they are very good at mesmerizing people. जैसे मैं कंपेयर नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बट मोदी जी प्रॉमिस अच्छे दिन. अगर आपको पता हो हु प्रॉमिस अच्छे दिन फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, हिटलर. आई एम नॉट सेइंग मोदी जी इज हिटलर, आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग अ सेंस. Hitler, when he was rising to power, he promised the Germans good days. He said, "You choose me in power, and I will bring the glory of the Aryan race back." He never did that. Dictators are, but nonetheless, dictators are very good at mesmerizing people. They make them believe, they make them dream. और ड्रीम देखना किसे अच्छा नहीं लगता. Now imagine if I come to you and I can make you dream to that आप बन गए IAS officer. So you will have it very good. You will enjoy it. और कॉमन पीपल सोचिए हु हैज अ लॉट ऑफ सफरिंग इन देयर लाइफ. सफरिंग रेंजिंग फ्रॉम देयर फैमिलीज टू फ्रेंड्स टू ऑफिस. सुबह ऑफिस जाते हैं, बॉस की गाली सुनते हैं, शाम को आते हैं, वर्किंग 12-13 आवर्स, नो रिकॉग्निशन, मीगर सैलरी, उसके ऊपर इन्फ्लेशन, एवरीथिंग. यू आर हर्ट. उस समय में आपको क्या चाहिए? यू वांट अ पर्सन टू बेसिकली मेक यू फील गुड. कोई व्यक्ति जो आपको झूठी बोल रहा हो लेकिन अच्छा फील करवा रहा हो. एंड दैट्स हाउ द सॉफ्ट डिक्टेटर्स राइज. दे मेक यू फील गुड. ठीक है, याश चमक. नेक्स्ट क्लैश. ये मैंने आपको प्रीवियसली समझाया था. बिकॉज ऑफ क्लैश ऑफ सिविलाइजेशन, पर्टिकुलरली बिकॉज ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन, देयर इज राइजिंग इंटेंस कॉन्शियसनेस अमंग द पीपल. इन दैट सिनेरियो दे आर ऑफन चूजिंग द राइट विंग पार्टीज, and right wing has a history of dictatorship. चाहे हिटलर की बात करें या बाकियों की बात करें, दे ऑफन हैव अ हिस्ट्री ऑफ इलेक्टेड डिक्टेटर्स, ठीक है। सेकंड, next event that we will see why they are rising in power. If for that we have to understand a crisis, 2008, इसको शायद हमने पहले डिस्कस किया हुआ है। Have we discussed 2008 crisis? ऑनलाइन पीपल, हमने 2008 का क्राइसिस डिस्कस किया हुआ है जहां तक मुझे याद आ रहा है, ग्लोबलाइजेशन में। ओनली ब्रीफली मैंने आपको बताया था क्या हुआ था, क्यों हुआ था। हाँ, इन डेप्थ तो आप इकोनॉमी में करेंगे क्योंकि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इवेंट है ये, पर फिर भी चलो एक बार मैं रिवाइज करवा देता हूँ। 2008 में what happens, the banks and the financial institutions of America, they gave too many loans, particularly majority of the loans, the financial institution or the banks of America, they gave too many loans, and particularly these loans were concerned in home loans, ज्यादातर होम लोन्स में थे। अब these loans started to go bad. Bad loans का मतलब होता है सब प्राइम लोन, दैट्स व्हाई दिस क्राइसिस इज आल्सो नोन एज सब प्राइम क्राइसिस। What is subprime? Subprime means these are the people who are unable to pay back. So financial institutions and the banks, they give too many loans to the people who are less likely to pay back. आप कहेंगे कि क्या बेवकूफ थे ये लोग? नहीं, बेवकूफ नहीं थे, ऐसा ही होता है दुनिया में। जैसे नोटिस करना, यू नोटिस दिस, व्हेन द इंडियन इकोनॉमी इज रनिंग वेरी स्मूथ, तो क्या होता है, बैंक्स गिव लोन टू एनीवन। Why? Because उन्हें पता है, if I give loan to 10 people, even if 8 people default, the 2 people will give back me the money and I will earn more. बैंक्स, आप बैंकिंग जब आप करेंगे जीएस पेपर 3 इकोनॉमी में, वहां पे आप समझेंगे बैंक्स मल्टीप्लाई मनी, ठीक है, दे हैव दिस इकोनॉमिक फिनोमिना। सो बैंक्स जब अच्छा टाइम चल रहा होता है उस समय में बैंक्स गिव्स लोन, इवन इफ आपने देखा होगा क्रेडिट कार्ड कंपनीज, when the good times are going on, economy is running smooth, people have jobs and everything, company give credit card to any era gera nathu gera. But when there is economic crisis and you need money, कंपनी आपको तब क्रेडिट कार्ड नहीं देगी, क्योंकि इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस में उन्हें डर लगता है कि आप पे कर पाओगे या नहीं कर पाओगे। व्हेन द इकोनॉमी इज रनिंग स्मूथ, दे विल गिव लोन इवन टू द पीपल हु मे नॉट बी एबल टू पे, क्योंकि उन्हें फर्क नहीं पड़ता, अगर नहीं भी पे करोगे तो मैं रिकवर कर लूंगा कहीं और से, इकोनॉमी इतनी बढ़िया चल रही है, मेरा काम बन जाएगा, ठीक है। बट यहाँ पे क्या हुआ, ड्यूरिंग इकोनॉमिक बूम इन अमेरिका, दे गिव टू मेनी लोन्स, particularly in housing, and housing prices inflated. But over time they realized that these loans are turning bad. Malab, these people are not returning the money, they cannot return the money. Ab they got scared because these are private corporations. These are not government corporations like India. इंडिया में फॉर एग्जांपल एसबीआई, पीएनबी, चाहे उनके कितने भी बुरे लोन हो जाए, वो बंद नहीं होती कभी। क्यों? बिकॉज गवर्नमेंट कंपनीज कैन ऑलवेज रन इन लॉसेस, प्राइवेट कंपनीज कैन नॉट, दे मस्ट बी इन प्रॉफिट और दे क्लोज डाउन। अब यहाँ पे क्या हुआ, these loan became too many bad. अब the banks or the financial institution of America got scared, so they went to a person known as credit rating agencies. Credit rating agency gives guarantee to a paper. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई फ्लोटेड अ बॉन्ड, बॉन्ड का मतलब होता है गारंटी ऑफ अ लोन। Bond is a paper in which I write a loan paper. As I write, I take 100 rupees from you. I will pay you this much of rupee at this rate at this time during this duration. That is called bond. So bond can drive values from underlying asset. इन्होंने क्या करा, जितने लोन के पेपर्स थे, they put all the loan papers. Say for example, this is 10 crore rupees of loan, this is 20 crore rupees of loan, this is maybe 1 crore, this is 2 crore, this is 3 crore, this is 4 crore. So these are the loan papers which are now turning bad. These are my loans, but they are now turning bad. They're not coming back. What I did, I created another paper known as bond. जैसे आपने स्टैम्प पेपर देखा होगा, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के जो स्टैम्प पेपर होते हैं वो एक प्रकार के बॉन्ड होते हैं। तो इसमें मैंने लिख दिया, से फॉर एग्जांपल इन सबकी क्यूमुलेटिव वैल्यू 200 करोड़ रुपए, दीज आर द 200 करोड़ रुपीज ऑफ लोन। यहाँ पे मैंने लिख दिया दैट आई हैव my loan portfolio, I have given loan of 200 crore rupees which will come back to me, and then I use this paper as a guarantee paper to take loan from you, you माने pension funds and other funds। अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि आप मुझे पैसे दोगे क्यों? क्योंकि इस पे गारंटी दिया हुआ है किसी ने, सीआरए ने। द क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसी दे गारंटीड, इसे ऐसे समझिए, आई फ्लोटेड अ बॉन्ड पेपर ऑफ, मान लेते हैं 1 लाख रुपी, ठीक है, आई एम आस्किंग यू टू गिव मी 1 लाख रुपी, यू विल नॉट गिव मी, यू विल बी लाइक व्हाई शुड आई गिव यू मनी, आप भाग गए तो। बट इमेजिन इफ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया साइंस देयर एज अ गारंटी पेपर, जैसे आपने अगर कभी नोट देखा हो आपकी जेब में, जो रुपी नोट है, वहां पे साफ साफ लिखा हुआ है गवर्नर के द्वारा, आरबीआई गवर्नर, आई प्रॉमिस टू पे द बियरर दिस मच ऑफ रुपी एंड द गवर्नर साइन। इट्स अ लाई। कोई आपको पैसे नहीं देने वाला, दे ही नहीं सकता, है ही नहीं आरबीआई के पास, देगा कैसे? बट क्यों लिखा है वो? सो दैट यू हैव अ फेथ इन दैट रुपी नोट। अगर आप उस रुपी नोट की वैल्यू क्या है? कुछ नहीं। That rupee note value nothing, because you believe that that note has value. That's why that note has value. Otherwise, it has no value. And believe me, आरबीआई के पास पैसा नहीं है आपको देने के लिए। तो इफ योर करेंसी फेल, मान लेते हैं आपका रुपी फेल हो गया, तो क्या होगा? यू विल गो टू आरबीआई, आरबीआई विल गिव यू अ न्यू करेंसी, जैसे हमें डीमोनेटाइजेशन में हुआ था। पर ये सब हो, पर फिर भी रुपी चल क्यों रहा है? केवल विश्वास। यू बिलीव दैट नोट इन योर पॉकेट हैज वैल्यू एंड सो इट हैज वैल्यू। इफ यू डू नॉट बिलीव, एंड इफ एवरीवन इन इंडिया start believing that that note has no value, so nobody will take it. ठीक है, understand the phenomena. यहाँ क्या हुआ? These institutions gave too many loans. When they started turning bad, they made a paper over this known as securitization. They got ratings from CRA and very good rating, A plus, triple A plus kind of rating. This is the highest rating you get. So this was a corruption by financial institution along with CRA. अब इसमें फंसा कौन? आम आदमी। आम आदमी कैसे फंसा? बिकॉज जैसे अभी आपने देखा होगा, शेयर मार्केट में शेयर कम्स, यू स्टार्ट इन्वेस्टिंग, एकदम से शेयर क्रैश कर जाते हैं। उसमें क्या होता है, जो बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियां होती है, दे रिकवर देयर मनी, यू गेट लॉस्ट, ठीक है, यू लूजेस मनी। Nonetheless, a lot of people invested in these bonds. But when it became evident, when it started to become clear that these bonds worth nothing, whatever is written in them is a lie, everyone panicked. सोचिए, मेरे बॉन्ड पे विश्वास करके मैंने उसमें आई हैव मेड रॉन्ग, आई हैव मेड, यू कैन से, कॉपीड, I copied the signature of finance minister and I sold that paper to you for 1 lakh rupee. When you will discover that the sign is basically fake, you will be scared and you will run toward me, will try to find me to recover your money. That's what happened. Everyone ran toward these companies, these financial institutions, these banks. Give my money back. They were like, वो तो खर्च हो गया. And this crisis is known as 2008 crisis. क्वेश्चन ये नहीं है कि ये सब क्या हुआ, प्रॉब्लम ये है कि सेव किसने करा? द अमेरिकन गवर्नमेंट गेव $7 trillion. The American government gave $7 trillion money to these people to pay back their loans from whom they have taken. सोचिए, $7 trillion. इंडिया की जीडीपी इस वक्त कितनी है? 4 trillion. मतलब every single Indian working entire year produce 4 trillion today, 2023, 4 I am talking about, और ये 2008 की बात है। तो 2008 का $7 trillion आज कम से कम मेरे हिसाब से 20 30 ट्रिलियन के आसपास होगा। दिस मच ऑफ मनी was not given to the people who lost everything. Literally, people in America became beggar. They lost houses, they lost wealth. तो ये सारा पैसा गया कहाँ इनके पास? मतलब यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? Rather than punishing the criminals, rather than punishing these banks and financial institutions for their wrongdoings, government of America rewarded them. और सोचिए, ये सिर्फ government of America की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, there are a lot of countries also, उन्होंने भी reward किया होगा. So the merchant bankers, the bankers of America, they became super duper duper rich and they were never punished. The common man who invested in these bonds, they became beggar. And with this rise hatred of elites. And that's why you notice this pattern. Why Rahul, क्या नाम है? Why the word Shahzada was coined for Rahul Gandhi? बीजेपी ने शहजादा वर्ड क्यों बनाया था राहुल गांधी के लिए? इसीलिए बनाया था क्योंकि बीजेपी इस बात को समझती है। बीजेपी अंडरस्टैंड द अपर लीडर, मतलब छोटे मोटे लीडर तो नहीं समझते होंगे, द पॉलिट ब्यूरो ऑफ बीजेपी, दे अंडरस्टैंड दिस because they have political scientists and all who explain them these kind of phenomena. उन्हें पता है around the world right now hatred of elite is going on, and that's why Rahul Gandhi, sorry, that's why Narendra Modi emphasized कि what he is, he's a चाय वाला. Nobody knows ये सच है झूठ है, किसी को नहीं पता, because there is no conclusive proof he was a चाय वाला, because where he claims to have a चाय वाला, where he was चाय वाला, there is no record of that. So किसी को नहीं पता वो थे या नहीं थे, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. मैंने बताया ना, राजनीति में truth never matters, perception matters. BJP is successful in creating a perception that BJP is a party of chaiwala and Congress is a party of shahzada, and they are able to convince the Indian population. This is hatred of elite. Same example, Donald Trump. When Donald Trump came for election fight, he used to say to the people of America, तो इसे सोचिए, चल मोदी तो चाय वाला क्लेम करता है, डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प तो प्रॉपर कैपिटलिस्ट है. ही इज प्रॉपर कैपिटलिस्ट, ही इज द पीपल हु लूटेड द पीपल, बट येट ही वाज सक्सेसफुल. He was successful in making the American people believe that he belongs to the working class. He used to say, I will drain the swamp. Promise Donald Trump का था, I will drain the swamp. कहने का मतलब जितने ये अमीर लोग हैं, हिलरी क्लिंटन, she come from a well background, she has served as secretary of state and member of time, ठीक है, her husband was president and all these drama he said, and he said that she is elite, she is rich, she is well off, and she come from politically connected family. I am a humble commoner. I may be capitalist, but I am a commoner. I have no political background. No one in my family was in politics. I belong to you. I can feel your pain and I will work for you. The working class, the common people. Nobody is taking care of. And this is the biggest reason for the rise of soft dictators. They are successful in convincing the common people that we belong to you, and remaining people are elites. Clear? ऑनलाइन पीपल क्लियर है ये थियरी? ठीक है. सो दीज आर द रीजन. लेट मी समराइज दिस. सो Sergey Guri predicted the rise of soft dictators in 2003, 2013, and since then we are seeing their rise. ठीक है. What are soft dictators? These are the dictators who have dictatorish tendencies. When they come into power, they curtail the liberty of the people. They impose on them sedition law. आपको पता है और भी लॉ होते हैं. They impose them sedition law. They put them behind bars. They prosecute them. They never kill anyone. ये सबसे बड़ी बात है. They never kill opposition. They never kill critic. They waste their time by court cases. They put sedition law and whatever, and they rule by velvet fist. They curtail the liberty of the people. जैसे अगर आपको एग्जांपल देखना हो, यू कैन गो टू दिल्ली बॉर्डर राइट नाउ. दिल्ली बॉर्डर पर अगर आप जाओगे, इट विल अपीयर लाइक वी आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर अ वॉर. इस तरह की बैरिकेडिंग है. यू डोंट सी दिस काइंड ऑफ बैरिकेडिंग इन एनी डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री. फॉर एग्जांपल फ्रांस में सेम प्रोटेस्ट हैपन बाय द फार्मर्स. फ्रांस गवर्नमेंट की इतनी औकात नहीं थी वो कर ले, बिकॉज फ्रांस की हिस्ट्री रही है. फ्रांस की हिस्ट्री रही है प्रोटेस्ट की, और जबर प्रोटेस्ट की हिस्ट्री रही है. एंड दे हैव प्रोटेस्टेड अगेंस्ट द गवर्नमेंट व्हेनेवर दे फील बैड. द फार्मर ऑफ फ्रांस वेंट टू द सरकारी बिल्डिंग्स. They threw garbage there, they threw dirt there. और उनको किसी पुलिस की औकात नहीं थी फ्रांस की कि उन्हें रोक ले. Why? Because France has a history of revolutions. और बुरा मान जाते हैं वहां पर लोग बहुत जल्दी. अब इंडिया में देखिए हालात क्या है. और एक और रीजन भी है, फ्रांस की मीडिया थोड़ी अलग है ना हमारी मीडिया से. इफ यू गो टू द बॉर्डर्स ऑफ इंडिया, यू विल फाइंड अ प्रॉपर बैरिकेडिंग. ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे हम वॉर की तैयारी कर रहे हैं. वी आर नॉट फाइटिंग विद अवर फार्मर्स, वी आर फाइटिंग विद एन एनिमी. ठीक है, दैट्स वेरी बैड फॉर डेमोक्रेसी, बट नॉनदलेस दैट्स हाउ इट वर्क्स. They curtail liberty. They curtail liberty, and कमाल की बात ये है soft dictators के साथ, that people justify their deprivation. The mental control of soft dictator. That's why they buy media. Whichever media they cannot buy, they put court cases on them. They are control mind so much of their population by convincing them that I am the only alternative. they give them sweet lies, they give them sweet dreams. ठीक है, that is the features they possess, and they mesmerize people so much कि people justify their depredation for them. इतनी बढ़िया होते हैं वो लोग. अब राइस क्यों कर रहे हैं? याशा मॉन्क्स, undemocratic liberalism, Samuel P. Huntington, clash of cultures and ultimately cultural consciousness leading to the rise of right-wing parties, and this 2008 crisis. Since then, there is hatred of elites in the world, and आपको पता है बाकी hatred of elites and hatred of foreigners. Because when the Americans, remember globalization हमने करा था, a fair trade argument. When the Americans said to Donald Trump that why we don't have a job, they said that Chinese and Indian took away. इसलिए आप नोटिस करना, the crime against Indians are rising across entire developed world. पूरे developed world में crime against Indians are rising. क्यों? Because people of these country are hurt. उनको समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि हम गरीब क्यों हो रहे हैं. वाई द रिच आर गेटिंग सुपर रिचर, वाई आई एम अ वर्कर ऑफ अमेरिका, मेरे पे जॉब क्यों नहीं है, वाई देयर इज नो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इन अमेरिका. मुझे बात समझ नहीं आ रही. कहने को अमेरिका इज अ सुपर पावर, पर मेरे पे नौकरी नहीं है. आई एम डिप्राइविंग, आई एम गोइंग बैकवर्ड एंड आई एम हर्ट, वेरी हर्ट, एंड नो बडी इज टेलिंग मी वाई. ऐसे में सॉफ्ट डिक्टेटर्स आर कमिंग एंड टेलिंग मी यू आर पुअर बिकॉज इंडियंस एंड चाइनीज हैव टेकन योर जॉब. उसमें क्या होगा? आई विल बी एंग्री अगेंस्ट इंडियन एंड चाइनीज. इसलिए क्राइम अगेंस्ट इंडियंस एंड चाइनीज आर इंक्रीजिंग, पर्टिकुलरली अगेंस्ट इंडियन, बिकॉज इंडियंस आर मोर, पर्टिकुलरली यूएस वगैरह में इंडियन ज्यादा है, तो उनके खिलाफ क्राइम बढ़ता ही जा रहा है. एंड यू सी दिस एवरी डे. हर दिन न्यूज में कोई खबर आती है कि इस इंडियन के साथ ये हुआ, इस इंडियन के साथ ये हुआ. This all, understand, is a part of a phenomena happening in the world. So this is your present international world order. क्लियर है? तो ये सब हमने कर लिया. कल मैं इसे लिखवा दूंगा सरगेई गुरीव, नोट्स में नहीं है. आई विल डिक्टेट दिस एंड वी विल मूव टू नैम. कल हम मूव करेंगे नॉन अलाइंड मूवमेंट पे. ठीक है, आई होप इट्स क्लियर. सो हैव अ नाइस डे एवरीवन. वी विल मीट अगेन टुमारो, कंटिन्यू आवर जर्नी. आई थिंक कल मिलेगा मुझे ज्यादा. कल फ्राइडे है ना, तो यू विल गेट. कल क्लास तो है नहीं, इन दिस टाइम यू विल गेट इट. अच्छा, चेक करके कह रहे हो कहीं आप प्रीवियस वाले? आई विल ट्राई दैट. क्लासेस मेरी ज्यादा हैं, तो आज इस वीक में कोशिश करूंगा चेक कर दूं आपके पेपर. एंड साहिल, इफ यू डोंट रिसीव इट बाय टुडे तो प्लीज मेल मी, आई विल. हाँ, कल मिल जाएगा, कल का टेस्ट कल मिल जाएगा. एंड साहिल, इफ यू डोंट रिसीव योर टेस्ट पेपर टुडे तो प्लीज मेल मी अगेन, तो मैं कल आपको खुद ही भेज दूंगा. चलिए, बाय बाय देन, वी विल मीट अगेन टुमारो. हैव अ नाइस डे एवरीवन.